Good morning. Good morning to our listeners, wherever you are. My name is Cecil, and I'm here with my colleagues, Marlon, who has not been with us for a while, but he's here today. I'm happy that he's here. But I miss my other colleague, Karen. Karen, greetings wherever you are. And of course, Philbert Pigeon is here. Philbert, greetings.
Cecil, thank you and good morning. Good morning to you, Marlon. Good to see you after a while.
Yes, good morning.
Back on another edition of Issue at Hand. Today is a special day in several ways.
And we want to inform you, entertain you, and wish you all the best as we observe the day after National Heroes Day. Cecil, by all accounts, it seems as though the festivities in the various communities went very well.
Yes,
in Greg's and in Fancy especially. A lot of people came out, and thanks to social media, you're able to follow what's going on. Okay?
Yes, and I think part of that, Philbert, we have to recognize the large delegation from the diaspora,
Yes,
our girlfriend and brothers and sisters who have made their annual pilgrimage. In fact, even as you speak, they're on their way to Baliso, and I hope everything went well. It's a bit choppy, the weather, the sea, a bit windy this morning, but hopefully everything went well and they got there safe and sound. In fact, it's in our interest, Pijan, that they get there safe and sound, particularly because later on, maybe around 11 o'clock, we would be accommodating a call and a report from our girlfriend and brother, Glabili Palacio. He heads he's the president of the International Garifuna Council, and he's the coordinator for the Garifuna Heritage Rites of Passage and Pilgrimage to Urumi. So we'll be hearing from him a bit later. Hopefully the weather would permit the call, the weather and the environment in terms of, we know that it is very windy over there at Baliso. And we hope we'll be able to have a clear interaction with him this morning. But Pigeon, in the meantime, there are a few things that we want to get out of the way. I presume you have some?
I just want to sympathize with the constabulary with the loss of the
Caliaco police station. Yeah.
My father have memories of that place because he worked there as an officer.
Mm-hmm.
Sometime in the 70s, I think. And it was particularly it was a landmark. Could call it what you call them again, historical building. It's been around a long time, and it's sad to see it went down like that. Yeah. So, and I don't know, but the police seem to have responded quite well given the circumstances, and the situation could have been worse. So let us commend the constabulary again
and in particular the fire
department for the work that they did in relation to that. Okay, we have to be concerned again because this is the second major building that caught fire in a short period in a few months' time, and we want the authorities to pay attention to that. Hope it is not a pattern that we're seeing, and it's just a one-off thing. I really hope so.
Yeah. It seems in any event, in fact, listening to the Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, Honorable St. Clair Leacock, that was one of the buildings he personally, if not the government, had targeted for renovation, if not reconstruction. And I know the former government, and in particular the then representative Camilo Camilo Gonzalez did point to that particular building as deserving some form of renovation, repair, reconstruction. I think that's what I had heard him. So it's it's unfortunate to have lost the building in such a way, but it's I guess it has now paved the way for quick action in terms of the rebuilding of the Calico police station.
Speaking of a person with some interest in history, I often marvel at the records that these facilities contain. And it will be a tremendous loss to us with all those reports, statements, and other records that are normally kept at police stations. Like I said, it will be a tremendous loss.
Well, I drove by there this morning and I noticed it was mainly the roof.
Okay.
Perhaps and the floor leading up to the second level. Maybe those are the ones that went. But if I certainly hope that they had in place some way of securing records.
Yeah.
If not a vault, maybe some secure section of the building that they had earmarked and had records secured. And better still, if they were doing, what do you call it, parallel storage, like at a different location, they were storing those records, which is really what is recommended. I know for example, I know the financial institutions, well, in particular Gecko, I know they do that there. They have a remote location where they store records.
And the records are generally now digitized.
Right. So certainly, we've just been reminded that there is also was a fiber connection for the CTV purpose. But those things, given the nature of technology these days, those things can easily be reproduced. But we are hoping that in this second coming of the Calico police station, that they put all these measures in place, that in the event of anything, records for sure will be safeguarded, safely stored away. Certainly store records in cloud. I mean, the technology is there, and we just got to use the technology to do those things. Rather than, as some people do, using it for mischief, let's use it for something productive and useful. Yeah, Pigeon. Well, let's remind our listeners that today is basically the middle of the month, March 15. And as you said, Pigeon, yesterday was the commemoration of our first and only national hero, the death of really the Right Honorable Joseph Chatoué, Paramount Chief. All right, so we're going to be getting back into some of that discussion, but in the meantime, there are some unpleasant things we want to share with our listeners. We want to remind our listeners of unpleasant and ugly thing happening, not necessarily around us right now, elsewhere in the world, in particular the Middle East, which would have significant negative effect on ourselves here across the world. In particular, we here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines we are going to feel the downward effect of what's happening in the Middle East. I have a clip here, Peach, and I want to share with our listeners concerning what's happening in terms of Trump's the USA and Israel's war against Iran. So let's play it. I think I might have clicked the wrong button. So let's go back and try again. these things happen. That's technology. It happens. Right. I'm seeing it there. So it's really it's relatively, in terms of what's happening with the war. It's an old clip, but it gives an indication as to the cost so far. At that time that the clip was done, the cost, how expensive war is. War is an expensive engagement, and it makes no sense to spend on war when human life is throughout the world. You know, human living is so nice and beautiful, and why don't we focus on improving human lives?
Yeah.
You know, I just find it amazing.
But the thought of young men, especially, going to die for an individual such as Donald Trump. It's
And Netanyahu, you know what I mean? These are two old, if I could say, old men who have basically reached the end of their
old white
life.
men who have
old white
nothing
men.
else to care about.
Yeah. And it seems their lives have been occupied with doing evil to others, other human beings. So let's just play the clip and have an idea in terms of the cost of this adventure.
If you look at just the first 100 hours of the war on Iran, the U.S. spent $3.7 billion. That's more than what most countries spent on their entire militaries in 2024. Gone in 4 days, less than 5% of it approved by Congress. Here's how much a day of war on Iran costs the U.S. The Center for Strategic and International Studies broke down the bill. Item 1. Operations, keeping more than 200 fighter jets in the air, a fleet of warships at sea, and artillery on the ground. About $196 million. Most of it was already budgeted. The real cost was what this war machine fired. Item 2, munitions. Over 2,600 guided weapons launched in 100 hours. Missiles, precision bombs, drones, replacing them cost $3.1 billion. Item 3, things that broke. 3 F-15 jets destroyed by friendly fire in Kuwait. The bill came in at $359 million. Add it all up, and it's $3.7 billion for 4 days of war. At the beginning of the campaign, the most expensive weapons went first. On day 1, Iranian air defenses could destroy almost anything that got close. So the U.S. struck from a distance with Tomahawk cruise missiles at $3.6 million apiece. By day 4, with Iranian defenses degraded, bombers dropped $80,000 smart bombs. But the most expensive part of this war isn't the bombing, it's stopping what Iran fires back. A Shahed drone costs Iran up to $50,000. Shooting one down can cost 100 times more. In 4 days, Iran launched 500 ballistic missiles and 2,000 drones. And they don't necessarily need to hit anything. Every launch depletes the other side's air defense stockpile. Gulf allies helped absorb the blow. They intercepted more than 1,800 missiles and drones. So who pays for all this, and how? Of the $3.7 billion, only $178 million was in the Pentagon's budget. Everything else, no funding source. The Trump administration is running this war on a military credit card, and Congress hasn't seen the bill yet. When it arrives, there are 3 ways to pay. 1, a supplemental spending bill. Trump asks Congress for emergency money, the way George W. Bush did after Iraq and Afghanistan. But every vote on funding becomes a vote on the war. 2, redirect part of the $150 billion from the first Trump reconciliation bill. But that money has already been promised elsewhere. 3, roll it into a future spending bill that may never pass. Today, every day of this war costs close to $1 billion. Some Republicans estimate it may even be double that. And 4 days cost about what it would to rebuild every single school destroyed in Gaza.
listeners. That's what it is. I mean, it's so sad.
And I wish we had a similar clip to talk about the rising prices, particularly oil prices, and the impact it could have on the world economy.
Well, I thought of it, and we'll have it next week for sure. We'll check it and have it next week. But in the meantime, I also want to play this one. This is the late singing Sandra from Trinidad and Tobago.
Devastation and destruction from ever since time began has been inflicted time and again by man against fellow man. Yet man wouldn't learn from history. It makes him more violent, producing deadly weaponry with nothing but evil intent. So the war could never be over. Peace will never be seen. Long as man in his quest for power keep destroying fellow human beings. Fellow human beings. I'm telling you, nobody, oh, nobody. When you really think of it, nobody wins a war. Because the agony of defeat will linger. Nations still hating one another and superpowers. They're looking for more power. As long as violence and aggression still dwell in the hearts of man, brother, the war will go on. It cannot be won. No, the war will go on. It cannot be won. Fallout from war is chaos. Plenty agony, plenty pain. Economies left in shambles that may never rise up again. Collapse of the money system, disruption of foreign trade, people turning against their leaders for the blunders that they have made. Environmental pollution, radiation taking its course, and the thousands that die in battle. Oh, what a waste of human resource. Of course, I'm telling you, nobody, oh, nobody. When you really think of it, nobody wins a war. The brutal clash of ideologies, carnage and social anarchy, and life reduced to pitiful dimension. The falling back of progress and growth for an entire generation. Sister, the war will go on. It cannot be won. No, the war will go on. It cannot be won. War is just like a rocket. It pays dividends for a few. But what does it profit the masses? I mean laymen like me and you. While the leaders playing their chess games, using the masses as pawn with political propaganda, the massacre still goes on. The soldiers, they never started, but they give their lives easily. While the leaders are in a safe place, working out strategy. So you see, I'm telling you, nobody, oh, nobody. When you really look at it, nobody wins a war. It has been the passage of history with the blood of the weak and the mighty. Great cultures vanish completely. War can create and destroy political boundaries as it goes on. Sister, it cannot be won. The war will go on. No, the war will go on. It cannot be won. matter how many people get wiped out in the massacre, the enemy must be vanquished. The battle has to be won, but the conflict will never be over, cause the agony lingers on. There'll always be more dictators, more Hitlers, more Saddam Husseins, and with these lunatics in power, it will just start all over again and again. I'm telling you, nobody, oh, nobody. When you really think of it, nobody wins a war. We need a spiritual revolution. Stop this brutal aggression. Oh, it's peace in the world will always be out of our hands. As long as the quest for wealth and power still live in the hearts of man, brother, the war will go on. It cannot be won. No, the war will go on. It cannot be won. The war will go on. Peace in the world. The war will go on. We need a spiritual revolution. The war will go on. Lord, put a hand on the children. The war will go on. Man fighting against man. The war will go on. It cannot be won. The war will go on. It cannot be won. The war will go on.
The line in the song says, man fighting against man. It's literally the case, Pigeon.
Yes, yes.
As we said earlier on, you have two old white men on one side and on the other side as victim. Well, it was an old white man, not really white, but brown man, if you like, talking about the supreme leader who was murdered, bombed out along with his colleagues, and his son now has taken over.
And there's doubt as to what condition he is in, and
because
where he is located.
well, Netanyahu has already said, and he keep repeating it, and Trump to an extent, that there's no place for him to hide. Could you imagine that in today's world, after the Second World War came to an end in 1945, when they thought that big people in big countries sat down around a table and made certain agreements, that there's a thing called, there's an international rule of law. These two guys have decided that they are the almighty ones, and they're taking things in their hands, and they will decide who lives and who dies. Can you imagine that? Pigeon, last week you said something. I don't know if you remember when you said you wish that they accuse the Haitian of having certain powers.
Yes. Yes.
I had to go back to that. I wish we had that kind of power from a distance. Make things happen to certain situations and individuals.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it. Two men are allowed, because they have control over power, and I mean power to spare. They're allowed to just kill children, women, other men. Think of it.
And it's a case also where the tail appears to be wagging the dog.
Yeah. And the tail is full with hate. Yeah. That's the point. Full with hate. I mean, I don't know if people think about these things, but yeah.
But the song "Nobody Wins a War" again reflect the talent of our artists.
Caribbean artists. Especially Calypsonians.
Particularly any issue we come up with, there's a Calypsonian who addressed it.
Yeah, no, more than address. prophesied,
Yes,
projected
yes.
about it. Yeah, remind me of Crazy. In time to come, yes, that's what it's called in time. And most of what he said in that song, which was sung a number of years ago, have been coming through. Sorry. So yeah, and what Singing Sandra has mentioned, all the things that she's mentioned in that song are what being discussed on all the TV stations now, and by so-called experts across the world. Everything that she has said in that song is those are the topics that are being discussed now. Yeah, all right. So we before we get into the other side part of our discussion, I want to say, Pijan, a number of persons met me over the week past, and they commented so positively and powerfully on the program last week. They really gave a lot of credit to Fire Empress and Marla for the way they conducted the discussion last week. And some of the people, again, I hadn't known them before, but they came up to me. Some of the people I know, and they called. Some people called. Some people met me during the week to say how wonderful the program was last week. So it's certainly reassuring and encouraging to have those kinds of comments. Actually, I have to give a shout out to Douglas. His first name slipped right now. Nice radio, Douglas. Not Douglas the Freitas. Saturday morning, Douglas. Anyway, he met me.
Carlisle Douglas.
Carlisle, yeah. So he met me and was saying, well, he said we were meeting for the first time formally. I think we never met before, actually. I saw him many times before. So he was saying he looks he sees me every Sunday on his TV. So then I said TV. Then he reminded me it's Facebook. It's Facebook TV. Yeah, so I just want to give him a shout out. That was my classmate. Oh, okay.
We went to school together.
Okay. Actually, I was with his cousin, with whose family and I have a very close relationship. In fact, they all refer to me as Uncle Cecil. So he came to give him a shout up, and I was there, so we exchanged greetings. So yes, I just want to give him a shout up this morning, and I hope he's listening to the program, and hope he would repeat some of the things we say here. When I say repeat, echo the concern for peace in the world, peace certainly in our region. Although there's only one in our region, one of the leaders who insists on going Trump's way. She was one of two who attended some
Shield
gathering.
Of the Americas.
The Shield of the Americas?
Shield of the Americas.
Oh, the Shield of the Americas, yes. And I heard her saying how wonderful that is, and it's going to basically save the Caribbean. And well, she didn't say so, but I mean, I'm interpreting from what she was saying. Certainly Trinidad and Tobago. And she again reassured or restated her trust and confidence and love for Donald Trump. You know what I mean? That's life. Pijan, before we get into introducing the main topic, that is, before we go into talking about the Garifuna pilgrimage, we may wish to accommodate some calls. Because you see that. But yes, if you have.
Just one other issue. I'm very much concerned about the front page of I saw the Vincentian and the Searchlight, making reference to violence and violent activities in schools. It's unfortunate that we reach this stage where it is of a big concern to us, where I think the Searchlight put it, drugs, sex, bullying, violence, some issues plaguing schools. And there's a similar, in the Vincentian, the school violence on the agenda. I sincerely hope that the authorities could get a control of the situation. And I'm wondering if some people may think it is being overstated, but no, there's cause for concern. And we need to pay attention to it.
I didn't see where they quoted actual numbers. I don't know if you saw any of it.
No.
Because it would be good to have the numbers which tell the story, or which would help to anchor the concern that people are raising. I don't know if it's just people are
Every
hearing
now and then
things.
we hear some skirmish happening after school and that kind of thing. And there's one concern I also have is the talk about not drugs, gangs infiltrating schools. That is not my experience per se. Students do form
Groups from ever since.
and one man's club might be another man's gang. Okay, and it is natural for young people to get together and fraternize with each other and so on. But it's not necessarily gang in terms of criminal or violent gangs per se. And perhaps back to what you say, maybe there's need for some more hard data to prove what is being described
as a gang.
Yeah.
But as you said, Pijan, you're the one who you were in the system, and you would have observed things, you'd have interacted with students, and based on what you're saying, I have I guess, as you said, one man's gang might be another one's social club or social grouping.
Yeah.
And I think we need to find a way to correctly describe or define what is a gang and how it applies in our situation. Simply calling or seeing a group of people, they may decide, a group of boys may decide they're going to fight another group of boys. That's not a gang. That's not a gang. It's a grouping, yeah. And they may have gang-like tendencies, but they're not necessarily members of a gang. And we have to be careful, because when you start branding young people as such, you may just push them over the hill, over the limit. So I think we have to be careful how we brand our young people. Yeah, I mean, young people, they get involved in groups and they fight. But do they live by these groups? Do the groups provide a means for them to live? And so on and so forth, because to me, in a gang, where properly defined as a gang, is like a family, from what I know. And I don't know that these groups necessarily operate as families, you know. So I'm mindful of the distinction, Pigeon, that you were giving a while ago, that a man's social club or grouping may be a different thing from a gang, you know. But yeah, but that aside, the definition aside, like you, I am, and like the certainly the police, I am concerned about the level of violence that we see coming through social media on what's happening in our schools and so on. But I would want to suggest that we get hard data, numbers in terms of, you know, maybe the police maybe they have numbers, maybe they have the numbers. But if they do, they should make those numbers available to support their case. Yeah, all right. So before we go into our main issue, I want to let's play this clip on Baliso. I got it from a clip. So let's get a sense of what you were talking about.
Men, women, children from St. Vincent's villages. They were shipped to tiny, barren Baliso. No fresh water, poor soil, just rocks and exposure. It became an open-air prison. Promises of food and shelter failed. Starvation, yellow fever, and dysentery killed over 2,400, half the internees, in months. Bodies lay in shallow graves, turning the island into a cemetery of genocide. Survivors, about 2,000, were deported in 1797 to Roatan off Honduras, then spread to build communities across Central America. Yet the culture survived. Language, punta music, cassava traditions, ancestor rituals like Walagayo. UNESCO recognized Garifuna heritage in 2001. Baliso remained sacred. Annual pilgrimages on March 14th honor hero Joseph Chatoye and ancestors. In 2023, the privately owned island hit the market for $30 million, sparking outrage. In 2025, St. Vincent's government acquired it, returned to the people as patrimony, for justice and healing. Today, plans aim to make it a memorial park and cultural site, honoring tragedy and triumph. As Garifuna say, we are the leaves, but the roots remain. From exile to enduring legacy, the story lives on. Did you know?
So, yeah, Pigeon, you know what has struck me in that...
The story of Baliso.
In that narration is when the person said that they were deported. It struck me and I laughed. How can you be deported from your own country, your own land?
They were forced into exile.
They were captured and banished. Is what Trump is doing right now, you know. By the way, it's the same thing Trump is doing. You know, the indigenous people of North America, they're the ones, the indigenous people here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, indigenous. Invaders go in, or come in our case, and they deem you an alien, and deport you. I mean, think of it. I don't know if people think about these things, you know. So according to the narration, the indigenous people in their own land, they fought to defend their sovereignty and their independence And those who wanted to capture their land for their own enrichment came in, fought them. And first of all, banished them on Baliso. And those who remained here, they pushed them to the north. Some went interior, as in Greg's, to exist. Well, actually, the intention was for them to die, really. Because how would you put people on Baliso? You ever went to Baliso Pigeon?
Yes.
Yeah.
I took
Oh, yeah.
about two classes already to Baliso. I hope other teachers are doing similar. We used to, well, I did use the occasion of the pilgrimage and take students along with the visitors from Central and South and Central America mainly, and participate in the activities there.
Yeah, somebody is suggesting that I state the source of the clip. The source of the clip, I actually saw it, got it from Facebook. Somebody circulated it, and I got it from that. I don't know I don't know who is the original producer of the clip. I don't have the name of the person. Maybe I should have looked more closely. But anyone knowing the original producer of that clip can share it. But it is certainly, in a way, it helps us to see. It helps us to get a feel of what happened well, I shouldn't say what happened, how the British treated the indigenous, a section of the indigenous people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, when the indigenous people led by the Right Honorable Joseph Chatouet, Paramount Chief, when they defeated him, or when they murdered him, they then moved to round up close to 5,000 of the indigenous people, and wickedly, well, in fact, they were in the habit of doing wicked things. Because first of all, when they rounded up Africans on the continent, the western side, they loaded them on ships through what we have come to know as the Middle Passage, and travel across the Atlantic. Sometimes I try to visualize life, Pigeon, in the whole of those ships. Can you imagine that they were chained? Women, children, men, all chained. What happened when they wanted to go to the bathroom? You know,
Went to the bathroom right there. Yeah.
those are some of the questions yeah. What happened when they wanted water? What happened when they had to eat? Can you imagine the number who died, who were killed in those holes and thrown overboard just like that? So you think of it, and people were wicked, man, that human beings. And the same thing is happening today.
Yes.
In the Middle East and elsewhere. The thing is that they have more sophisticated weapons than they had then. But it's the same thing. Same action.
Man's human inhumanity to man.
Yeah. So it was habit for the British to round up people, which they did with the indigenous people, capture them. And I could imagine how they loaded them in these, I don't know what they call them at that time, and took them over to Baliso and left them there. Baliso is a barren kind of thing. I went there twice and I couldn't believe. And it is still in a very true sense a crime scene. It is. And you know, when I was over both of the times that I was over the beach, and I was wondering, I was saying to myself, somebody needs to commission a study. Archaeologists commission some archaeologists to look for bones. I'm sure there's still samples of remnants of bone over there. They could not have all been, I'm sure there are bones over there. And that is one of the things I think that in the period going forward, whether it's a museum or whatever you want to call it, that's one of the things that must be done. That it would be necessary to do some kind of archaeological mission to find out whether bones are still there and could be rescued and preserved, to show the wickedness, the inhumanity, the evilness of what the British did in 1797. Yeah, all right. It's when I talk about these things, it's really painful. And I know, I don't know if well, I'm sure people feel like I do about these things. But it is a crime scene. No matter how you look at it, it's still a crime scene. We have a call, Pigeon, so let's go into it. Let's take it and listen to the person. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Ryan.
Good morning to you.
Mr. I just want to use your media to thank all those who supported my barbecue. And I also want to thank them, those who support and those who didn't support, and those who share. And I hope next time they will do that. So I just want to thank everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay there.
All right. Thanks for calling.
Okay.
All the best.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
I just sent a message to the gentleman, but I know it has only one tick. I don't know if he's picking up. Yeah, I presume he has, but I don't know if he's getting. Yeah, okay. Well, Marlon, you should be able to advise us in terms of the technology. If he's there.
Well, if his data is not working,
All right, so folks, sorry about that. We were just trying to see how we could get around this challenge. It seems it's going to be a challenge for us because Palacio is in Baliso right now, and the signal might be the problem. So we're trying to see the way, if we could find a way to work it out. In the meantime, while we try and do that, and hopefully we will be successful, we want to play you. We want to play you this one. Of course, by Fire Empress.
Some say it is natural, organic yet tribal, elemental, naked, one animal, entrancing and rhythmic, be with you like magic, airy and so mystic. The root also for music. From the belly of the Congo we came. Daring and fearless is we name. Some say our skin darker than night. Immortal shiver at our sight. The red ready melanin, shade and color of our skin. Some are terrified of course, like the texture and the gloss, the kinkiness of the hair, all the ethnic clothes I wear. They ask, can you see of the African in me? My identity shapes my destiny, natural majesty, the African in me. So though they call me black, stronger, yes, we coming back. Look out, here we come, children of the drum. Behold the power of the African rhythm. Some say we look savage, like we out to ravish, so we could do damage. Yeah, we go like advantage. Righteous is our nature. We don't play no hater. We respect our maker. Oh God, the one true Jaja. From the powers of creation we came. Cradle of all mankind is of faith. Behind fables and fairy tales they hide. With their slave trade and wicked appetite. They still pretty melanin, shade and color of our skin. Some are petrified of course, by the texture and the gloss. The kinkiness of all hair, all the ethnic clothes we wear. The respect you see, the African in me. My identity guides my destiny. Nubian majesty, the African in me. So don't call me no banshee. I'm mixed with what to see. Yeah. Time drops start to roll. Waistline lose control. Look and you will see the African in me. I am the uncapped. Freedom is my nature. Yeah. Something deep inside moves me like a tide. Cannot fight, you see, the African in me. plastic or synthetic, of natural fabric, born and torn, forged from our spirit. Look how your feet moving, to the beat just grooving. And counts and zombies dancing, crazily to the command of good skin. And yes, Calypso is my song, woven from humor and become comfort from sin slavery days. One drop and they fall back so amazed. They're already melanin, shade and color of the skin. They are terrified of course by the texture and the gloss, the kinkiness of the year. All they can take what I wear. They are scared, you see, of the African in me. My identity shapes my destiny. They respect, you see, the African in me. So though they call me black, stronger, yes, I'm coming back. Look out, here we come, children of the drum, glory and the power of the African kingdom. So though they call me black, stronger, yes, I'm coming back. Look out, here we come, children of the drum, behold the power of the African kingdom.
All right, so we're back with you, and we do apologize for that break. We were trying to make contact with the gentleman over in Baliso, but we were told by one of the organizers who is over there that the captain has decided that the weather doesn't permit for a long stay on Baliso, so they have to make their way back to St. Vincent. And as a result, we touched base briefly with the gentleman himself, and he did basically indicate that. So we won't be able to have that broadcast from Baliso today. We do apologize to our listeners, but we have no control over the weather and the circumstances. So we hope you understand. So instead, we would still focus on some of the issues, and we would invite persons who wish to interact with us. We just make it an open mic program for today, and if you wish to interact with us, we would be happy to do so. The number to call is 457-9997, and that would take you to, of course, WhatsApp or directly to the regular line, and we can interact with you. And we are inviting you to do so. Starting now.
In the meantime, you could tell us what National Heroes Day meant to you as celebrated yesterday. Then the other broader issues we have only named one national hero so far. Should we be naming another one soon? And if there's a list, could you share with us your list of persons who could be named national hero, even as we consider the next set of people or person, he or she? Tell us, what are your views on that?
Yeah. So we await your call or your calls. At least let us interact on the significance of the month as well. And as Bijan has invited you to do, how did you spend National Heroes Day yesterday? And what are your views on the choice for the second national hero of St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Let's hear from you. 457-9997 is the number to call. And we certainly would love to hear your views on these matters. So the question is, were you in Greg's enjoying all the goodies that they provided, that the organization provided up there? Or were you in Fancy? Another place where a lot of goodies, certainly a lot of things to eat was provided. So let's hear from you. And let's hear how you feel about Baliso itself. And the question of reparatory justice. All of those things come in the mix. Do you think we should pursue aggressively, continue the work that was done earlier by the previous government, intensify the work? What do you think? Let's hear from you. Good morning. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Good morning. It's open forum, right?
Yes, it is. Go ahead.
So in your commentary a couple weeks ago, I hear you say, I think you were talking about the Trinidad, the Calypso in Trinidad, I think, or the ban or something like that. And you say people's rights in St. Vincent are being violated. And
so hold on.
My question,
no, just a minute. I said people's rights in St. Vincent are being violated?
Yeah, in St. Vincent.
You heard me saying that?
Yeah, well, I think it wasn't in the commentary, but was on the Sunday program when you was about to finish. After you played the Trinidad Calypso, that was, I think, the ban in Trinidad.
Which
something.
you're talking about? You're talking about African for Sale? That Calypso?
Queen Victoria.
Yeah, Africans for Sale. That's the name of the Calypso.
Right.
But I said, hold on. Let's clarify. Just take your time. Let's clarify. And on that program, I said that people's rights in St. Vincent are being violated.
Yeah, coming towards the end.
No, you're wrong.
The program
you're
said
wrong.
that.
No. You're wrong. No, I didn't say that.
What did he say, P. John? What did he say?
I think he expressed disgust with the people's rights being violated in terms of freedom of speech in Trinidad. I think the reference was made to.
Yeah, but he says certainly in St. Vincent.
No, I think you have it wrong. In any event, my friend, the program is taped. And you or myself or anyone can go back to the program on Facebook. You just go back there and you see there I will go and recheck myself. But you can go and recheck. You can go and recheck it, what I said. It's on Facebook.
Okay.
But you're going on to raise another point. But you're going to raise another point.
No, I wanted to. That's what I want. I called to for you to tell me how how long it's been going on. That's the reason.
Now, double check the program. Look at the program again and hear what you thought what I said. Not what you thought, but hear what I actually said on that program. And
but do you believe people? Okay. We could switch the question. Do you believe people's rights in St. Vincent are being violated?
When I have the evidence, I'll I'll share with you. I don't have the evidence right now.
You don't have the evidence yet?
No, but hear me. Hear me.
Yes, go ahead.
If you think that people's rights are being violated and you have the evidence to support your point, just tell us, share with us, and tell us where the evidence is available.
Well, I don't know if it's happening now, but I know under the previous government, people's rights were being violated.
Oh, and you have the evidence for that. You can point us to the evidence.
The evidence is when people came out to demonstrate for the COVID. It happened on a Thursday. The Saturday night of that same week, 12 NDP activists' house was raided by SSU guys with long guns, so they're looking for arms and ammunition. That's an evidence there, people's rights being violated.
Where is the evidence available?
That's the evidence right there.
No, that's what you are saying. That is not
the
evidence.
Activists, that's it. That's my evidence right there.
No, my friend, that's what you are saying.
Right.
Where can I find that information?
What are you saying?
I'm asking you, where can I find the information to corroborate what you're saying? Where can I find it?
All the people that, Colin Graham, Dougie DeFreitas, all of those people's house were raided. That was in the news. Don't tell me you didn't see that in the news.
I'm asking you.
The house was raided this Saturday night.
Relax a bit. Relax.
Adams, all of them.
Relax a bit. Relax. I just want to know that what you're saying is correct on the program. So I'm asking you.
Don't tell me you don't know that. Don't tell me you don't know that. You live in St. Vincent. Don't tell me you know that.
You're not
answering
my question. You're not answering my question. I asked you, where can I find the information?
You go to Eyewitness News or SDG Times for that 2020-2021 when they had the demonstration.
All right, so I will check. Good. Any other point?
You trying to play smart?
Any other point?
You trying to play smart like you don't know? Okay, you have a good day. Bye.
You too, my friend. No, I'm not trying to be smart. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be accurate and don't say things that I agree things that I don't know about. That's all, my friend. And I'm not getting upset. I'm as cool as ever because I want us to have intelligent conversations, not a call on a one-line thing and make accusations which are not true, which you cannot substantiate. All right, so the number to call is 457-9997 if you wish to contribute to the program. And as it turned out, today we're going to be having an open mic. Especially given the fact that, precisely given the fact that our guest, who is still on Baliso, not our guest, but the situation doesn't permit an interaction with our guest, who is still on Baliso. Apparently, the weather is not the best. That is the sea. And therefore, the captain has decided to spend a short time there, to allow a short time, because he doesn't know what the weather is going to be like a few hours from now or a little later. So that gives us some time to look at other issues. We can still discuss the issue of Baliso itself, the history of Baliso. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Hello, good morning.
Morning to you. Can you shift away from your device? Can you move away from your device a little bit?
Yeah, well, I'll come in and tell the gentleman for the thing. What the gentleman can do?
We're not hearing you well. You need to shift completely from your device. Let's have a clean interaction. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say. I'll come and say, tell him, man. You know, I can tell man like you all read it and listen. You want to tell the man, answer the man properly.
And in your judgment, I didn't answer him properly?
So,
all right. Well, that's your judgment. All right, so fine.
The man say playing smart. Stop playing smart, man, and answer question I'm going to come to you, man.
Could I ask you a question, please?
Have a nice day.
He's not willing to engage.
Okay, I was want to ask. I could still ask it.
Yeah.
I was seeking corroboration. A problem.
Well, I don't know.
You make an assertion, and you ask to corroborate what you have asserted, and and that's a problem.
well, obviously, you operate at different levels, Bijan. So, all right. So the number to call is 457-9997 is the number to call, and let's have an intelligent discussion, exchange if you like, and you may not like what I say, but certainly we can decide, we can discuss. Good afternoon, good morning, welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Ryan.
Morning to you.
You're cover up, man. Stop cover up, man. You're one man, we're cover up.
And he's accusing me of covering up, and he refused to talk. He got off the phone. I don't know what am I covering up. 457-9997 is the number to call if you wish to be on. Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, good morning, Cecil.
Good morning to you.
The question I wanted to ask, just to be clear.
This voice sounds very familiar, like one of...
Yeah, of course, it's me, Lance.
Yes, I know.
I would like to know what is the genealogy of the Garifuna. I can't see on this phone because I'm almost out of...
Yeah, you know...
That's a good answer.
Pichan, can you answer?
The genealogy
of the Garifuna, yes.
The Garifuna purportedly resulted from the mixture, intermarried between the Kalinagos or the Yellow Caribs and people of African descent. And it's claimed that people of African descent got to these islands after some shipwreck or some issue between Barbados and St. Vincent, and they fled to St. Vincent and
ended up at Bible.
Yes.
Because that information is available at the old fort, at the fort.
Yes.
I don't know if it's still there, but there was a story there was given in that. So Lance, if you can make it up to the fort, I don't know if it's still there. Maybe at the archive you'll find that information. Good morning, Kojo. Greetings and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Cover-Up. It seems like you're covering up everything, boss.
Well, that's an accusation that you're making as well.
But I'm saying, you the one who covering up with it. They're making a statement. You ask them to prove the statement that you the one who covering up. To be them the one who covering up.
Anyway.
If you know exactly what happened,
yes.
And I asking you to prove to me what happened. So I could
well, not so much to prove, but to share the information, share your source.
Yes, but I know refuse not to. So who's covering up?
It's all right. Well, let's not spend time debating that. Let's not spend time debating that. But let's leave it where it is.
I think for national heroes the next year from the time, I hope sooner or later they will announce more either a different second level of heroes where like Shaki is up here and it's very hard to put other people in that box probably, but they should have at least another level that people could slip into much easier. Then, you could have Shaki as the head of all heroes, and then you have a second tier of heroes that, because I think by now we should at least
I don't think you can have different levels of heroes. I don't know if that is allowed.
What I'm saying, the criteria used for Shaki, it's probably a bar so high that
you mean they may wish to drop the bar?
Yeah, because it seems like that bar is pretty high. They're set. So, like Milton Theatre probably might not fit into that bar. Ebenezer Theo Jackson might, even though they were
But Kojo, there, according to the Act, there are several criteria, and my understanding, as I've read the Act, you don't have to meet all the criteria. But if the person or whoever it is satisfies enough of those criteria, it's a relative thing. If you satisfy or if you meet more criteria than me, then obviously you would be ahead of me in terms of being awarded national hero status.
Well, I guess the people on the committee probably have seen.
I am sure they would be looking at those criteria and coming to a conclusion.
Yeah, but I'm saying, Cecil, right now at least somebody should have done 50.
No, but you don't know what's happening. People maybe you have a new government and they've put a new committee in place. Maybe they're looking at those criteria.
Yeah, but I say even before the new government, I mean that.
Yeah, well, that was the case. That was happening, Kojo. That was happening. I was a member of that committee, so that was happening.
Okay.
It was happening. So I presume now you have a new government in place and you have a new committee in place. That is also happening.
Okay,
no.
let's see what happens next year. All right.
So we wait to see who they would determine or give the category of national hero or heroine. All right, Kojo?
Okay.
All right, then.
All right, and don't cover up too much anymore.
I never cover up. That's one thing. That's why I'm on. That's why I'm on radio. Apostle was on radio. That's why I'm on radio. I don't cover up. But I aim to. No, I understand you. But I'm making a general statement for those who wish to agree with that accusation. Let me finish.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying. I'm speaking for anybody who wish to subscribe to that view. That I'm on radio, but I'm very authoritative in terms of sources. Even my commentary, I don't know. I don't know if you know that I do a weekly commentary.
I listen on your Friday.
Right. So you notice when I do that, I don't guess. I don't accuse. I go to the sources and I quote the sources. You know that. So that is where I conduct.
Yes,
right. So that's how I conduct, whether I'm on radio now, live or elsewhere. I don't subscribe to hearsay or comments kind of thing. I don't do that. I want to make sure when I say something is authoritative. All right, Kojo? But you're making another point. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, I mean, they're talking about cover up, and a fire happened Friday night, and everybody has an opinion on why the fire happened. Everybody.
I know.
Everybody know why the fire happened. Everybody know the fire burned down evidence.
And trust me.
While the fire was happening, the investigation was going on right away. There was any fire.
Okay.
I can't believe my when I read.
Well, good for them.
Oh.
Maybe they have been trained. Maybe they have been trained to do those things, Kojo.
I tell you I can't believe my people, boy. I tell you the truth.
But you have to believe because you're experiencing it, you're seeing it, you're hearing it. So.
I understand that, and that's why in my head I still can't believe my people go that low.
Well, I don't know if I won't describe it necessarily as going low, but it's a practice which people have cultivated, and it's very difficult to deviate from that practice.
And that makes me sick when I see them behaving like that. Jump into conclusion before they even have evidence of a fact.
They need to listen to the Secretary of War from the United States, or Trump. All the people from Israel. Anytime they ask them a question, they say, it's been investigated. You have to wait until the investigation comes in.
All right,
Kojo, have a good day.
All
right, good. Bye-bye. I noticed Dr. Scott was trying to get through, but I didn't want to interrupt Kojo. So Dr. Scott, the line is free now, and it's all yours. I don't know if Dr. Scott is over here, or if he's in Barbados or wherever he is. But so yes, Dr. Scott, the line is free. So if you wish to call to, we always value your contribution on the program, and it's clarifies so many different things for all listeners and for us. So please call us now. In the meantime, Fijan, did you want to comment on anything?
Just that we value every contribution, not just.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Dr. Scott.
Oh, I see. Yeah, well, it's true. That is true. That is true. Thanks for the for that. All right. Incidentally, as I was saying, I saw Dr. Denny out at Craig's yesterday. Good afternoon, Dr. Scott. Greetings to you.
Good evening, Cecil.
How are you doing?
I'm not there yet. Still here. Little exercise this week with a book launch on Jackie Opel. I'm driving. Just give me a few seconds for me to pull aside.
Okay.
Because there are a number of issues I wish to address. And the first one is Pigeon was answering the genealogy.
Mm-hmm.
The genealogy. And I would say to listeners that the issue of origin and genealogy, we discussed it at length in volume 1 of the National History, which is being launched on Friday, this Friday, Cecil, at the Global Campus from 6 p.m.
Okay.
Right? Now, one thing I would like to highlight is that there were black people on this island since the early 16th century, 15-something. And one of the reasons we had black people here is when the Spanish colonized the Great Antilles, Hispaniola, which we now call Dominican Republic and Haiti, the Kalinago would lead raids from this part up there and capture both Taino women, who we call the Arawaks also, and blacks. So we do know that blacks were present in St. Vincent as early, and the evidence is discussed in volume 1. We also know that we had the movement of indigenous people, Amerindians, along South America, and that black people had been in Brazil since the early 16th century as well. Finally, the issue of the shipwreck. We are yet to find the evidence to indicate that there's shipwreck. That doesn't mean it did not go. So the shipwreck is in the oral tradition of St. Vincent. And I would say that it was popularized by Dr. Ian Kirby, Kirby.
Yes.
Right? And I, in my early years, spent a lot of time with Dr. Kirby interviewing him. And there are many things that he theorized. For example, if we go to Bokomen, there is a cave in Bokomen with some hieroglyphics writing, and Dr. Kirby argued over and over. This is the evidence that Africans were here very early o'clock. But again, we cannot find or yet to find any archaeological evidence or anything to indicate that. But what we know for sure, the one thing we do know, listeners, the one thing we know for sure is that by the late 17th century, it was well established that when enslaved people ran away from Barbados, they were coming to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And one of the things that the British negotiated with Châtelet when that famous treaty, Cecil and listeners, was that they must return runaways or they must not harbor runaways. Okay? So the genealogy is a mixture of black and Kalinago. The percentage would vary. There's a study, and all of this is examined in volume 1 of Natural History by a lady called Nancy Gonzalez, where she have taken samples, DNA from many different people in California, Cujo, in Guatemala, in Belize, and so on. Right? And the one thing we have come to conclude that you cannot look at a person and say that person is Garifuna. You cannot. And if you look at the persons come from Belize, you look at Ryan and me, they look the same. And I say this to you, I've been teaching UE for 20-something years. And every year I teach people who are Garifuna. And I don't know, they come and tell me I am Garifuna. All right. So that's on the issue, Cecil. I don't know if you want to have a question for that response before I move on.
Well, no. If I have, I'll come back. If I generate, I'll come back. But in the meantime, yes, I don't have.
Yeah. The second thing, which torments me, I am the person who wrote the declaration for Shati as the first national hero. And that's 25 years ago. 25 years ago. And for 25 years, we have been stuck at Garifuna. We have been stuck at 1795, 1797. It is time we move on. We have turned National Heroes Day into a Garifuna Day. It is now a Garifuna Day. We don't talk about the Portuguese contribution. We don't talk about the East Indian contribution. We don't talk about Black contribution. And when it comes to Emancipation Day, we do nothing. I am saying it is time we move on. And it seems to me that after 25 years, it will be difficult for us to get people to understand that March 14th was never meant to be only about Shati. And it seems to me that having become Shati Day, that we should rename March 14th Shati Day or Garifuna Day, and let's find another National Heroes Day where we could move on to celebrate the other ethnic groups that have contributed to the development of our society and our country. And in the volume 1, for example, we speak about that enslaved woman in Mairo who killed the plantation owner, Cecil. We speak about the enslaved people and the apprentices and the formerly enslaved people in the Georgetown era. And in volume 2, we're going to speak about what some people call the Vox Populi riots, led by the Baptist preacher, the Barbadian-born George Bascom. And earlier on, someone was speaking about Macintosh, which I've written so much about Macintosh, explaining why the people went to Macintosh. So it irks me, Cecil, that having written about Shati and having Shati declared the first national hero, we still are stuck in 1795, as if we are afraid to face our recent past, as if we are afraid to recognize people who are Black, who are Indian, who are Portuguese, and who are white. That would be my second point.
But before we go on, Dr.
point,
Scott, before we go on to your final point, because that second point, that's deep and it's so accurate. And I wish we could find a time or find a way to say more about that. And how can we popularize that kind of information as is contained in volume 1? That's my question. What would be? Yeah.
Yeah, the purpose of history is for people to use the raw material to build their consciousness and the advocacy and to chart the way forward. And we have provided the raw material. If persons out there want to use it, it is free for you to use it. If you wish the historians to help you, we can do so. One of the things I have been advocating for in many different circles is that we don't have monuments in St. Vincent. We only have Shati Obelisk and the Iron Man. For example, you have the old Parliament building, the walls in Kingston. We need to put the names of all the persons who were arrested in 1935 for quote-unquote rioting. We need to see Sheriff Lewis' name on the walls. When people walk through town, they look up, they remember that your right to vote and trade union rights and so on. And these are things, Cecil,
yes,
that our organizations need to champion. I mean, me and you have spent enough of our lifetime leading the fight. The newer generation, they need to carry it on. The St. Vincent Union of Teachers, they have a building, but you cannot go there and see Mike Brown name on a wall and see Yvonne Francis name on a wall and all of these people who led the fight in 1975 and so on.
Just a slight correction. The photographs of some of the posters you've just called are placed on the wall, a particular wall in the Teachers Union building.
But I think Dr. Scott is talking more than a photograph. Isn't that what I would think so?
Well, that's a form of memory.
Yeah, well, true. But yes,
right. So these are the things, Cecil, that after 25 years that we need to address. And the final one is the link to the whole discussion of recognition. I heard Sister Rennie Baptiste announce this week that her organization has given me an award. And it's the first thing in my whole lifetime, Pigeon, may you be in all kind of thing, God, it's
I know.
Ryan, you being in everything. Ryan used to come to my house and cry me out Bible to do Calypso 10.
Yeah.
And people don't know, and we cannot be recognized. So how you expect to motivate a future generation? That means we need a proper system of national honors, not only for old people, but for young people annually. Montserrat is a British colony, and Montserrat have its own system of national honors.
Okay.
All the people who been in cadets with me in Montserrat got all kind of medal. Pigeon. And Pigeon, me and you all the hard work, all the hard turn we stand up in. Right?
But you know, Dr. Scott, it's funny you're raising this because on Saturday I had a discussion with Nelsie Robinson, the mother of Dr.
Professor Justin Robinson.
Professor, and she was making the same point.
But that is true because CNL is celebrated globally, even by the Commonwealth.
Yes.
But all the years, Sister Nell stand up in tongue with your copper basket midnight.
Yes.
Sometimes I come in from band practice tired. I had to carry Sister Nell with kettles and come back.
Yeah.
It is time we do something, Cecil.
I agree. Yes.
It's time, so those would be my contributions.
Thank you very much. I have to get back to you in terms of how we could do something more in terms of at least raising the issue more of the second point you raised.
And don't forget the book launch is on Friday night, 6 p.m. at the UWI Global Campus. The books will be on sale. And if you're interested in Garifuna history, this volume 1, if you're interested in the life of people, enslaved people, and the resistance, this volume, it goes up to 1834. And volume 2, which will come out at the end of this year, will take you all the way up to the 1880s to see how Madarians, or Portuguese as we say, East Indian, or Coolie as some people used to say, right, and black, so we live together under the breadfruit tree. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Scott. Thanks again. And we talk. All right. He said how we live together under the breadfruit tree. That's an interesting topic. Yeah. Under the breadfruit tree. Living under the breadfruit tree, or life under the breadfruit tree. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Yes, Cecil, it's me, Lance, again.
Yeah.
I'm glad I brought that up, and I'm glad that Dr. Scott chimed in on that one day, because when you talk about indigenous people, I'm always very careful as what indigenous people are, because people move from one place to another and intermarry and all sorts of things, and we have to be careful. Like, I think that the indigenous people are the Caribs. In my song, I sing the indigenous people and the Garifuna, because I always think that the Garifuna are intermarried with
the Garifuna as a people, as an offshoot of the indigenous people.
Yes, rather than them themselves being
as
indigenous.
Dr. Scott, sorry, as Dr. Scott has said, the intermating between between the indigenous people and the African.
Yes.
All right.
This is exactly what I was trying to point out, because we all come from somewhere. Some of us come from somewhere else, and it doesn't negate our contribution to the society. And thank you.
Thanks for raising that issue. And by the way, the line "living under the breadfruit tree," that's a good theme for Calypso.
It's true. Thank you. Later.
Thanks for calling. All right. Interesting. 457-9997 is the number to call us, and you can reach us direct as in now or via WhatsApp. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Cecil, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Lansford, greetings. How are you doing?
I am very good.
Okay.
And good afternoon, and to all of your listeners. Pigeon, I want to start by one of your classmates, a phrase he normally uses. I want to say, God bless Willis Williams, their family, and their associates, who for so many years, maybe more than 25 years now, have been given our people, our community, the opportunity to speak and to speak openly. And the tradition continue up to today.
Mm-hmm.
This is something that we must always recognize them for. I also want to, my own schoolmate, my own classmate, Dr. Cleve Scott, that I am totally behind the presentation that he made here this morning. Short, but very consequential, because for one of our leading historians, he has raised some issues that have been on my mind for a long time. And I believe when they were raised by Dr. Scott, that Suze will take note of them and will pay more attention to them. The history, the issue of heritage, Cecil. It's a very important one. Even the indigenous people, that phrase that is so commonly used. How do we define that? Because you get a sense, and the historians tell us that these people came here. They came from somewhere. You and I read a text in school called "The People Who Came."
Mm-hmm. Book 1, 2, and 3.
So, yeah. So what do we mean by indigenous? And the point that Dr. Scott raised with respect to the Garifuna and their culture and so. But are we paying attention to them at the expense of other races, other groups who have contributed significantly to St. Vincent and the Grenadines? To the point where, as Dr. Scott said, National Heroes Day and National Heroes Heritage Month is seen as a period dedicated solely to Garifuna. I noted yesterday that in that ceremony where they were commemorating the life of Joseph Chartier, that the Thai Empress, one of my leading Calypsonians, entertainers, were invited to present on what I consider the African heritage. And to me, it stood out. It seemed like it didn't even belong to, in terms of all the other things that were going on. The drum in me, the African in me, Cecil,
Yes.
seems like all the other things that were going on yesterday, that song did not even belong there. And it is a risk to the development of our society that we may be singling out the Garifunians to the extent that we will not even, at some point, not even recognize that there were other people who came and who contributed. Dr. Scott mentioned some of the groups, and I, like him, believe that these groups contributed significantly to the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the way we know it today, including the Europeans. Very often when we speak about the development of St. Vincent and the Grenadines and its history, we speak about the Europeans as though they did all bad to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I believe it is something that we must take a look at again. Cecil, I believe that we, at the point in terms of the development of the world and our society, where we must combine science and technology with the art. Again, going back to Dr. Scott, he made an important point. You look at the people from Belize and wherever else who tell you that they are Garifuna, and there's absolutely no difference between them and us. We have the technology in the world now. Going a little beyond just genealogy, but to the actual genes and the DNA. And the point that you made, Cecil, with respect to the research on Baliso, that maybe that research should include the search for and the capturing of DNA, so that persons who believe that they're Garifuna or whatever, that they themselves can seek to make the match and to see where they stand in the line in that regard. Cecil, I want to talk a bit about the police.
Of course,
and crime.
Go right ahead.
You know, I am one who absolutely wish that I would never have a difference with the police. Meaning, I think the police and the work they do is absolutely important to every society, and that includes our society. I know that our Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of National Security, in making a comment some time ago, and it's recently because they are in government recently, and he made a point, my interpretation, I hope I'm not very far off from what he intended to say or what he said, that you can find in the police force a situation where persons are jockeying for leadership and they may seek to undermine each other in that, to get to that point, to get to where they want to be. That's an important point. And where am I going with this? This outreach, this
That answered?
school.
Oh, okay.
Hey.
Sorry, go ahead.
Outrage on school violence. Yes, it's something that we must be concerned about. But like Pigeon, when we are classifying the groupings in the school as being in gangs without more, I am very concerned. When I went to primary school, when I went to secondary school, when I was at university, people form groupings on the basis of different criteria, where geography, where they come from, racial, social issues, familial issues, those who are related, they belong to these groups. And certainly, when there were anything happening, pleasant or unpleasant, they supported each other. I remember the days, Pigeon, when you left Carlton Primary School, Carlton Government School, and you come across the Iso Gutter, going along that track to get to where you lived, Pigeon.
Yeah.
There were often so many fights.
Yes.
And the fights were village versus stubs.
Mm-hmm.
Village versus stubs. That was totally, well, not totally, because I think family relationships were involved. But the term village versus stubs, we're talking about those who were in the village were in a group versus those who from stubs. And there they attempted to settle whatever differences there are, sometimes violently, flinging missiles at each other, or at each group. Pigeon, you lived in Jamaica, and you understand what a gang is. Whether the gang is from West or East Kingston, it was an organized grouping with a leadership that you can identify. You could identify where they operated. You know who were the leading members. We have heard the names of many of them in this part of the world. But we do not know the power which these guys held in the society in which they live, in the community in which they live. There were gangs. So when we are classifying our school children as being in gangs, and sometimes I wonder if they're simply, if it's a distraction that they're trying to provide. We have serious issues with respect to crime. In 2026, there have been a few serious crimes committed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Homicides. A man by the side of the road getting gunned down. And these matters have not been solved. I understand that there might be investigation going on in the background. I don't know the nature of this investigation. But I think this is where our police need to focus their energy at this point in time. How they solve crimes. The technology that they can engage to solve crimes. And this is not something new I am putting at the doorstep of the current government. It's something I always said. I believe the biggest deterrent to criminal activity would be the ability to solve crimes. I believe when the potential criminal look at the probability, not just the possibility, but the probability, where there's a high probability, even though it's not calculated. But in your mind, you know it is highly probable that you will be caught and brought to justice. That potential criminal will think twice. And we have not been using the technology that happens, that are used right here in the Caribbean to solve crimes. We are nowhere there in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And I'm not saying that as a criticism. I'm saying that that is something that we need to focus on. Do the police even keep apart from the number that is engraved on it, do they keep any other information, any other identifying information on guns that they license the authorized persons to use? You can keep a print of guns, and I have seen at least in one country quite recently where a person of significance in the society were held responsible. And basically, well, he pleaded guilty, but I think he pleaded guilty based on the fact that he and his lawyers knew he would have been convicted simply because the police could have identified that the bullet, that the autopsy, the person performing the autopsy on the dead woman, that they could have matched that bullet from the records they have of this gentleman's licensed firearm. How close are we in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to getting there? How close are we to lifting basic fingerprints from crime scene? I hope this thing about gangs in school is not a distraction. I believe that schools should be an agent of instilling discipline in terms of the people who go there. But we must not allow anyone to use it as a distraction. We must not allow anyone to speak glibly about it in an effort to position themselves for promotion, if that is what is happening. Crime is too serious an issue for us to play with. It's an issue that prevents and compromises development. There are many studies that show that. There's a cost in development that is associated with crime and criminal activity. Not so long ago, CARICOM declared crime, murders, violence as a public health issue. And that is not hard to see. It's not hard for anyone looking at it to understand. Because if you have ever been at the accident and emergency department and one of these victims arrive, you see how quickly those who ought to be looking at you with your illness or your injury from an accident, how quickly attention is diverted to them. And then there are those who have calculated the cost of dealing with each of these incidents. I know Mr. Leacock, I believe he takes his work seriously. I hope, as a friend of mine is often say, I hope Mr. Leacock don't allow anyone to pull wool over his eyes. The Ministry of Education should be empowered to deal with what is happening in schools. They must be provided with the resources necessary, including instructions and guidance how to deal with crime. And the police must respond to schools when there is issue. But I don't think that the police should be diverting all the attention to gangs in school. And if they know about gangs in schools, I believe it is easy for them to deal with because we're talking about children. So that's my contribution for today.
And well presented. Thank you very much, Lansford, as usual. A lot of food for thought. All right, then. Have a good day. Yeah. Pigeon, any reaction?
I get the sense that Lansford is suggesting that the authorities might be a bit alarmist in the way they spoke about the situation in schools relative to violence and other issues. And I think we have to be very careful that we don't sound too alarmist in this regard.
Well, in terms of, we have a call. Let's go to the call, and then I'll come back to read a paragraph from the newspaper. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Next is Mr. Gonzalez.
What did he just say?
I have no idea.
All right. My friend, please, when you call the program, try and be as clear as possible in your articulation. Whoever you are. Maybe you may wish to call again. Anyway, in the meantime, I believe partly this is what we were kind of referring to, and certainly what I think Lance might have been referring to as well. Here, I'm going to read a paragraph from the front page article of the Vincentian, the article School Violence on the Agenda. And it says, according to Assistant Commissioner of Police, Trevor Bailey, there have been a number of troubling incidents involving students within recent months, underscoring the seriousness of the issue. In addition, he recognized that certain behaviors and expressions are emerging in and around schools. The situation is one in which, and it's a quote from him, we are dealing with the developing concern. I am referring to patterns of behavior that resemble gang culture, group intimidation, pressure to align, retaliation for disrespect, the pursuit of status through violence, and the acceptance of fear as a way to control others, unquote. In that statement, it doesn't seem to me, Pigeon, that there's nothing to confirm that there's gang culture in St. Vincent and Grenadine. What he said is that behavior that resemble gang culture. Doesn't mean that they're gangs, and which is the point that we were saying, Bijan, that I think I would be reluctant to brand a youngster as belonging to a gang or a member of a gang when perhaps only that the person is associated with by fact of geography or whatever else, maybe associated with certain kinds of behavior or tendencies. But I don't think it is accurate. I don't think it is accurate to except you have clear evidence or clearer evidence, including data and evaluation by professionals who are in the business of determine what a gang behavior is like or what it looks like. Then I think we have to be careful about these characterizations. I think that's the point that certainly that's the point I was raising earlier. Because you don't want to brandish a youngster as a gang member. That might make him worse than, he might conduct behaviors worse than, he has been doing so far. He's a bad man, he's a gang now. And you know what I mean? But Lansford was very clear in terms of saying that we have to get to the truth of things. The appearance of things is not necessarily the essence of things. We must always remember that. Something may appear to be something, but it doesn't mean it is what it is that appears to be. Yeah, all right. All right, so we still have a few minutes, and if you wish to call us to make a contribution.
Do you have any WhatsApp message?
There are one or two. I have responded to some already, but not too many. Okay, there's one from, I think I know this person, Trevor. Yeah. This one says, good morning. It is sad to hear about the police station, as it was a building, quote, like an old friend, unquote, bracket, sorry, not quote. I always expected to see as a child, as I crossed the bridge into Caliaco, I always want to know how old buildings and the bridge next to it was. But my wise old grandmother could never give an answer. She always wanted to know. All right, let me read it again. But my wise old grandmother could never give an answer. She felt comfortable about, comfortable. She did explain the materials it was built from. An agreement with any Western leader is, this is on another issue. I think we had gone on to a different issue, and he's saying an agreement with any Western leader is simply a trust that must always be verified, not absolutely believing what they say or what they said, especially when they have their fingers crossed behind their backs. Always go in believing an agreement is always in their own interest or the interest of their group. They may be their class, if you like, social class, I meant. I went to visit Goree Island. Again, the person is commenting on a different issue that we raised. I went to visit Goree Island, Senegal, as an 18-year-old and before university. One of my most life-changing experiences, that was one of his most life-changing experiences. I now encourage my children to explore the world. Gap, yeah, he has that in bracket, before university or settling down. All right, I think we get the point. So he has visited Goree Island, which made an impact on him, and he's encouraging his children to do likewise and to explore the world. You know what?
I don't know what Goree Island is.
I think it was a holding building for Africans before they were put on the ships across on that passage across the Atlantic.
Okay.
I've heard people talk about people who have gone there, talk about the experience of the sense they feel once they get into that thing, that structure. Once they get in, there's no return back to where you lived. Yeah, so that was one WhatsApp comment. The others I have read. Oh no, this wasn't saying. You still need to state the source of the clip. I think I responded to that. Oh yeah, I responded to that. Yeah, I responded to that. Oh, I see who this person. That's what I was wondering who this person is. I now realize who the person is. But in as much as the same observation that Lansford shared, he said while he was watching the ceremony at the activities at Dorsetshire Hill, and he saw when Fire Empress made her contribution, and he was wondering where it came in. Well, not necessarily where it came in, but as if she came and she broadened and she gave deeper meaning to me when I was watching. That's what I sense. Deeper meaning to the whole, or she intended to focus a broader attention to the question of national heroes.
He was suggesting that the activity is so Garifuna-centric.
Right.
That listening to Fire Empress seeing a little bit out of.
Well, for me, I saw it as giving a broader meaning to the whole thing of national heroes.
A matter of perspective.
No, well, it's similar to what Dr. Scott raised, that national heroes, from what he's saying, has become Joseph Chataway Day. And if you listen to all the speeches, not all, speeches from those in government, in particular Prime Minister Friday, it seemed to have been all about Joseph Chataway and the indigenous people and what they will do, what the government will do about Baliso and about the indigenous people where they live and so on and so forth.
And Dr. Scott is saying instead we move on to
but you know something? Interestingly enough, my colleague and comrade who passed away a good while ago, Olin Horn, she used to raise those issues with me. That was when the early period of Garifuna, the concept of Garifuna coming into vogue. Olin used to raise that question with me. And she was concerned that we seem to have been shifting away from the significance of our African origin and meaning. She did. I remember that very well. And now we, as Dr. Scott has correctly done, pointed out the need for us to broaden our understanding and the scope of what we consider to be national heroes. And of course, Lansford endorsed that. And I fully endorse myself. And I believe it's in a way I think that's why I played at the beginning of the program, why I played the Fire Empress song, The Children of the Drum, because when I was watching and saw her contribution, I said, yes, it's more than indigenous people. And incidentally, I listened to a speech by Honorable Chevron John she made it at the conference. Was it at the conference? I think. And I made a comment to somebody that she has truncated the concept and our understanding of reparations. If you go back and listen to that speech, check. She was saying reparation for Garifuna. That's what she was saying. Reparation is much wider than that. But I made that observation, and I think it's the same point, a similar point that Dr. Scott raised, that reparatory justice is not for genocide alone. It goes beyond genocide.
For labor.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we have to appreciate these things. Fullest understanding of ourselves, our society, and where we want our society to go. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. Dr. Anthony Stewart calling from Union Island.
Great. Good to have you. How is Union Island today? weather-wise?
Well, it's dry. We're in the middle of the dry season.
I thought you guys been having rain.
We had a few showers here and there, but the place is dry.
Oh, well, same here, but we've had some significant showers on St. Vincent.
We depend here on harvesting rainwater.
I know. Yes, Dr. Stewart. Yes, good to have you on.
A major mistake that was made concerning the water is that the roofs are on, but the guttering to collect the water were not put in place. So it's going to be a real crisis down here.
Yeah.
This right.
How come the gutterings were not put on?
Well, I don't know.
Sorry, I mean it's a rhetorical question. I don't really mean for you to answer because, yeah, but I think that's an error. I mean, the guttering should have been put on. One of the central considerations.
Yeah, because it's quite a difficult task, and maybe the homeowners, if they got the roof on, they should have arranged to help them with at least the workmanship. They purchase the guttering and.
Yeah. At least, if not all, part of it. If not all, part of it, at least to start with.
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah.
It should be part of the program. The guttering should be part of the program of the roofing.
Yes, I certainly agree with you. Yes.
But my comment is on the issue of school violence.
Mm-hmm.
I think the main problem is the epidemic of disrespect in the schools.
By whom, for whom?
Well, a lot of people show disrespect, but the mainly student to teacher.
Mm-hmm.
All right. They cut out one form of punishment, which was flogging, and instituted counseling. But the students are still in the flogging mode.
We just missed him. Sorry, Dr. Stewart. We hope you call us back. In the meantime, while we're waiting for you to call, we want to play this. But we
organic yet tribal, elemental, naked, war and animal, entrancing and rhythmic, bewitch you like magic, airy and so mystic.
Hi, Dr. Stewart.
Yes.
Thanks for
I
calling.
don't know how we got cut off.
I don't know myself. Just making up.
We instituted a new form of discipline, which involves mostly counseling. But a lot of the students figure if they don't get licked, that is nothing. But additionally to that, I think there should be consequences to bad behavior.
Mm-hmm.
What I did at school, I use community service. Let them do some chore around the school if they misbehave.
How did that go? How did that go? How did it work out?
Well, some of the parents objected, but I didn't. Once we cleared it with the PTA and everything, it's an excellent form of discipline. I didn't believe in suspension. You do something wrong, you do some cleanup around the school to ameliorate for it. And it's not necessarily chores around the school. It could be writing an argumentative essay to defend your position also. And I remember when I asked students to do some chores, they didn't want to do it. Then I assigned academic essay writing. And now they wanted to go back to do the chores. I said, no, you got to write the essay. But students have to have consequences.
So hold on. So they saw that as too difficult to do, or more difficult than The writing,
Yes,
the essay writing.
The writing was more difficult to do than the chores.
That's
They
interesting.
prefer to do the chores. But I recognize the value of the writing.
Of course, yes.
In terms of helping them and so on. But students need to respect the teachers.
But before you go on, I want to ask you: Did you see any positive change from your intervention?
Well, there was positive change, yes. If I have a student in my class, they have to get my SBA done. If they're suspended, it's double work for me because when they come back, I still have to allow them to make up for the work that they miss. And plus, a lot of the students are glad to go home on suspension. They don't like school anyway, and they get to do whatever they want to do.
What I was asking, was there any
punishment?
Was there any? Did it cause any dent on the level of violence? Did it decrease?
Well, if you have the students under your influence and they are recognizing that there are consequences to the bad behavior, of course it causes a dent. If they are suspended from school, they might be out there making more mischief. And so on. So it did make a dent. You keep the students engaged. The other thing is the boys especially, they need physical work to do. So all these things like woodwork, the technical stuff, whatever it is, they need physical. They have all this energy and we can't subject them to academic work only. Well, not only the boys, everybody I think needs something practical to do. And it should be something that they can see it makes a contribution to the upliftment of the school and so on.
And themselves.
But that's with disrespect on the part to the teachers. Now, the other disrespect is from the government towards the teachers. If the teachers' union represent the teachers and they're entitled to certain information and certain courtesies, I think it should be extended to them. They have a disciplinary matter. Copies must go to the teachers' union, and they must be fully informed. The discussing matters involving teachers involve the teachers' union. Another form of disrespect is not paying teachers according to the qualification. Teaching is a very hard job, and teachers especially, they work to qualify themselves. And they might be deserving of being appointed as a teacher 2, and they're still a teacher 1. So we need to look into all the situation, make sure teachers are adequately remunerated according to the experience and the qualifications. And sometimes too, we give teachers inadequate time to teach the subjects and expect the students to pass. Every school doesn't have to be the same. Every school doesn't have high ability students like high school or grammar school, so they should not necessarily have to follow the same curriculum. If it takes you 5 periods to pass maths in grammar school, maybe it might take 10 periods in another school. So they are deserving.
But my question to you, the example you're giving, you're sharing. My question to you, why should we expect a lower level of performance from non-grammar school students?
No, we're expecting the same performance. It's only that it may take more preparation time.
On whose part? You mean on the teacher's part?
The same exam. Some students might need 5 periods. Other students, they need 10 periods.
Well, that's what I'm asking. Why should there be the difference?
Why should there be the difference?
Yeah.
I don't have all the answers, but I know all the students are capable of being successful at the secondary level. But
no, that's not what I agree to you. I take that as given. My question to you: why should some students be expected to take 10? You said 10 sessions, as opposed to 5. How do you explain?
Well, if you started out secondary school, perhaps you got low scores in maths. You didn't have adequate teaching in the primary school, but you in the secondary school now, they have to make up for what the students would have missed. And that takes time and contact with the teachers. In my studies, I was taught you teach in class, you test in class, you review in class. It's as if you're doing everything in class and you're not dependent on students doing homework. If you do homework, the students should perform better. But if they don't do any homework, they should still pass by virtue of what is done at school and what the teacher does with the students. But time is needed. What sense does it make you take in 8 subjects and the pass mark for the school is about 4? Maybe you only need to do 5. Or maybe if you're doing the 8 subjects, you do them all from Form 1 to Form 5, so you have enough exposure and enough practice.
Pigeon wanted to come in. Pigeon, you wanted to?
No, I think the concept that is referred to in the literature is differentiated instruction, because students come innately with varying levels of abilities. So the point you're making is correct, but logistically, it may be difficult to organize a differentiated instruction where you give different students different classes based on their abilities, the innate abilities.
But also, Dr. Stewart, let's make the point also that this is not the discussion now is not associated with violence, because that's where we started. But let's make the point. What are you saying now? Are you saying that?
Yes, if students are kept engaged and they're successful, they're less likely to exhibit violent behavior.
Oh, that's the point you're making.
They have a certain amount of aggression in them. They want to do things, they want to achieve things, and they need to be given the opportunity to do that, right? Whether a school has unlimited learning opportunities. You have the grounds to be kept. You have some students who need assistance, and others, they can be assisted with others. I believe in cooperative learning. The whole class move forward together, and that ensures that no child is left behind. So as one student should be doing 15, 20 subjects, and a set of students can pass 3 or 4. You let the students help each other. The best way to learn is to teach. That organize the students to teach each other, so that those at the bottom of the ladder can be successful. Those who are at the top, they will be successful anyway. They can function on their own. We have to worry about the students who are likely to exhibit violent behavior because the conditions are not set for them to be successful at school. It should be a given that once you go to secondary school, you'll pass maths, you'll pass English, and at least 3 other subjects. All right, so school should be organized to ensure that happens.
And by becoming organized to ensure that happens, you'd be also decreasing the tendency towards violence. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. If people are successful, if they learn skills that they can make a living with, they're less likely to get involved. People do what they learn how to do. Right? So if I'm at school and from Form 1, I'm doing agriculture from Form 1, seriously, by the time I'm finished, I could set up my own farm, or even during school, if it's an electrician and I'm doing that from Form 1 up, by the time I'm finished, I could handle myself. I could launch out on my own and make a living for myself. But all these different skills, it doesn't necessarily take away from the academics. In my view, you should do maths, English, physics, chemistry, biology, and then you do something practical that will engage them. The other thing is play and sports. We don't allow students to engage.
Sorry, repeat that. Play and sports, we don't.
Play and sports.
Yeah.
Play and sports. Right. In my time growing up, there was a pastor everywhere, but if you look at Union Island, most of the places are fenced up. We don't really have proper playing field. We used to play in the salt pond, but sea level rise and so on has taken that over. The hard court is broken down. So we have to have outlets also. The idea of the clubs, I think, is excellent. All the schools should have clubs. So there's pathfinders, scouts. In my day, I had scouts, cadets. They need to have things to engage them. The steel band and so on. The library should be functional.
By the way, there used to be a steel band at Union Island Secondary. Is it still there?
It's not functioning, and I think one of the main reasons is that a lot of schools operate the subject areas and the teaching as sole traders. So when one person moves on, there's nobody else to take over.
No, but other schools, certainly on St. Vincent, they have steel bands. So I was asking about the question of Union Island. I know there was one there. If somebody moves on, why is it that that person cannot be replaced? In the area of steel band or music, if you like.
Steel band origin is a special skill. There are certain people in the community who have that skill, and we should treasure them, and we should pay them for what they do. And they should be part of the staff steel band. If I'm coming up, I'm doing my maths, English, physics, chemistry, biology, I could have steel band as one of my main subjects.
But you're saying
just so much attention to it, and I come up with it all through the school. And when I leave, I could function as a musician anyway.
So you're saying, first of all, you're saying that having the youngsters involved in steel band, that can help in terms of lessening the level of violence. That's what you're saying.
Yes.
Right. But you're also saying that we need to approach it as a subject that
definitely
give it some level of seriousness, a certain more.
Give it enough time. But the main thing is the arranger. The arranger, you can't depend on people voluntary help. They must be paid.
I hear you. Yeah,
right.
I hear you.
But at one time, I tried.
Go ahead.
At one time, I tried to get a Vinlek worker to work with the school seriously, but he needed to have a regular schedule so that he could be at school at regular times. And I couldn't get people to make a simple schedule to allow that. I moved from the local authorities in Union Island to those in St. Vincent. I was not able to do that. And that wasn't going to cost the company any money. It's just arranging a work schedule so that the arranger could be available to the school at regular times. If it's every Monday and Wednesday or whatever the schedule time is, they make the schedule so that the arranger could do that, but I wasn't able to do that.
All right.
We would like to have steel band, but the supporting structure needs to be in place. Right?
Well, there's this thing. Go ahead. I just want to remind you, we have gone beyond our time, eh?
Okay, all right.
Yeah, okay, but it's. I mean, the conversation is useful.
Everything needs to come together for crime prevention.
Yeah.
And I think most of it could be solved at the school level. The discipline at school level, make sure the students are successful, make sure they're engaged, and make sure you have all these things to occupy them. We keep out of trouble if we have things to do.
All right, Dr. Stewart. Thanks a lot for your contribution today.
You're welcome.
All right.
My identity shapes my destiny. Natural majesty, the African in me. So though they call me black, stronger, yes, we coming back. Look out, here we come, children of the drum. Behold the power of the African rhythm.
Just to make the point that, as Dr. Scott reinforced by Lansford, what they've said is that we need to go beyond the celebration of National Heroes Day as Chateau Day. and Garifuna Day. There are other important sectors of our population that are making and have made significant contribution to national development and to the whole question of expression of freedom, attainment of freedom.
The thought occurred to me not too long ago, what if the descendants of the planter class decide to get together and commemorate their heritage? How do you feel about that?
Well, they're free to do it. And some may be very well thinking that, pigeon. Some may be thinking in that sense. But they're free. I mean, it's, freedom of expression according to our Constitution. And they are included in the Constitution. So they're free is the question of the power of what they do, really. All right, so for today, we didn't do as we had advertised due to the circumstances beyond our control, but we did try, and we have to credit ourselves for that trial.
We had an interesting call list. We had about 11 persons calling.
Yes.
Plus a few WhatsApp messages.
Mm-hmm.
So we will definitely engage our listeners.
Yes, as usual. And it's not any trivia. The discussion was not about any serious issues. And we want to thank all the persons who called and all the persons who listened. We want to single out Dr. Scott and Lansford for sure. Kojo made an important and insignificant contribution. We thank you very much as usual. And all the other folks, Dr. Stewart just made a very significant contribution. We want to thank him. And that is why the conversation has to continue.
And we have to continue to wish Sister all the best in our circumstances.
And we hope that whatever fundraising effort she gets into again, and if whatever fundraiser they would be successful. She had invited us to the last one, but I certainly couldn't make it. I couldn't. So for today, we thank you very much, and we wish you all the best, and we hope that your life and living continue to be good and productive. We just want to remind persons of this song.
My destiny, Nubian majesty, the African in me. So don't call me no banshee. I'm mixed with what to see. Time drops start to roll, waistline lose control. Look and you will see the African in me. I am the uncaptured. Freedom makes me nature. Something deep inside moves me like a tide. Cannot fight, you see, the African in me. Sing now. Ude, ude, yo. Ude, ude, yo. The rhythm in me, supreme majesty, brings out naturally the African in me. Cosmetic, plastic or synthetic, of natural fabric, born and torn, forged from our spirit. Look how your feet moving, to the beat just grooving, 1,000 zombies dancing. Crazily to the command of both skin. And yes, Calypso is my song. the drum. Glory and the power of the African kingdom. Cause oh, they call me black. Stronger yet to coming back. Look out, here we come, children of the drum. Behold the power of the African kingdom.
Yes, it's now 16 minutes after 1 o'clock. That was our program Issue at Hand with Cecil Rand and P. John. Don't want to make the mistake again and say drill and he's not here, right? Yeah, so that has been our program Issue at Hand, and we apologize again for person who was supposed to call in today had some issues. So anyway, we still had a good discussion, and I hope you continue to enjoy the program Issue at Hand right here on the clean, fresh sound of WEFM 99.9.
WEFM, the clean, fresh sound.